Hello everybody, we are back again here in the workshop for another video from Team Mac Fitness. As always, you're here with me, Bertie. So today what we're going to do is we're going to go episode 2 of our mini 3-part series. If you watched last week's video, you know what's going on. If you didn't, we'll do a quick little recap. Last week, as I mentioned, I was just got on to do a little bit of kind of a session. As you know, the minors and the underage thing is kind of cancelled now. It's off, it's done for the year, whatever you want to say. And indeed, the counties are getting done now, both under 21 and minor, or under 20 and minor. So maybe these sessions or these videos are a little bit more important now. So last week we covered kind of the warm-up and some body weight exercises, different things you can do. We talked about whether you do them 20 on 10 off. If you do all 8 of them at a time, you can mix and match from, we were calling that block 1. So you had kind of block 1, and then you had block 1A, 1B, 1C, which is a 3 sets of 8 exercises. So there's loads there to keep you going. Today then, we call this block 2, so if you wanted to do, say, block 1A, and then you're going to be picking 3 exercises out of what we're going to do is kind of the sprinting phase. Now, I am not a sprinting coach or anything like that. There are some things that I kind of picked up over the time. We'll start off with, we're just going to add in a few little extra things in the warm-up, so things just to do to get ready for sprinting. Then we'll just talk through kind of the 3 different sprints that I have in block 2. Now, if you are the people who this video is kind of more aimed at, you'll see that I will kind of post up at the end. We'll try and get it in, we'll type it up somewhere this side or this side. We'll decide in the editing where that's going to go, what kind of the 3 different sprints. Now, it's not the only kind of one you can do. It's just kind of 3 examples. So you got those slightly longer ones in, the return ones, and then W sprints, but we'll talk about them at the end because I have them up on the whiteboard, which you might see just there behind me. Kind of sprinting is important. That's your speed training. They're like ladders and hurdles. That's not speed training, so that's something else. So if you're going to talk about speed and sprint speed training or sprinting training, whatever you want to call it, we're putting the ladders and hurdles to one side. That is not what this is about. So in order to get fast, you need to run fast. In order to run fast, you need the energy to run fast. So in training, if you are doing max sprint training, you need a good break in between. So if you come back and you're still panting, you're not ready to go for another sprint because you might only be hitting 95% of your max speed. Then as it goes on, if you don't leave enough breaks, you're starting getting tired. Again, the last one, you might be down to 70% in your max speed. So you're not going to get faster if you can't max sprint. And that's why it's important. Distance wise, like in relation to football, I don't think I'd ever go 60, 65, might do some 70 meter sprints. But that'd be all. And even at that's a lot because you're talking about like straight line speed there. You look at football, you're chopping and changing in different directions. You have to learn how to cut, change at speed and things like that. So that all comes into it once you're doing sprint training in relation to football, things like that, or whatever field sport you play. Just in the warm-up then, just throwing a few extra things. It's like kind of sprinting mechanics. I'll show you that now. And also think about your stride length. So to me, the 2 things that I always try and tell people is stride length is one of them. So the longer your stride, the more ground you're going to cover. And then it's force production. So the more force you can put into the ground, the quicker your leg comes up off the ground. And then you're minimizing your ground contact, which is going to make you faster. And in order to have more force into the ground, you do need strength. So that's where the strength training comes in from the last video. It's a nice kind of starter thing. But you do need strong, so as I say, your powerhouses, your glutes, your hamstrings, quads, they all need to be working right, working good, getting that force into the ground, getting the leg up off the ground and going. You also need to have a good knee drive up into the air. So you think of the like of when you do high knees and things like that in warm up, they are like little indications or kind of build-ups that you're kind of sprinting. So if you are sprinting and you take a video of yourself sprinting and your knee isn't coming up to at least your hip or a little bit above it, your ground contact time is going to be a little bit slower, and then the ground you're covering is going to be a lot less. So you think about your sprinting. If you're max sprinting, you should have at least a stride of 1 meter plus. It doesn't matter what length your legs are, that is where you're going. And I'll show you what I mean now in a minute when we do the little bit of warm up too. We'll just talk through kind of a stride length and things like that. Alright? So the first thing we're going to do, as I said, we're going to talk through some extra little things to add into your warm up. So you're thinking about sprinting, what way you're sprinting. You need a good knee drive up. So you're going to have to do some of that in your warm up. And also kind of nice long things, because remember, to me sprinting is when you do a squat, say, both legs are doing the same thing, alright? But then when you're sprinting, your legs are doing different things. So it's kind of only a one-legged kind of exercise of sprinting. And I'll show you what I mean now. Just for the few things to warm up, what are great is kind of the knee hops, at the start, good march, and the arms are important. A lot of people when they're sprinting, they forget about their arms. But, you have to try and kind of grab the air in front. So I always say from pocket to cheek is where you're running. You want your arms nice and close to your body as well, because that also cuts down on the resistance as you're running. So if you think of your arms and you look up any kind of athletics, 100 meters, 200 meters sprinting at the end, and look at their technique, look how they do, look at their knee drive, look how high their knee comes, look how long their stride is and their contact time. That is what you have to try and get. And even just by changing your technique, fine-tune it, you can actually become faster without actually being any fitter. So, fitness and kind of speed, they're a little bit different. Now, sprint repeatability is another thing. That's how many kind of sprints you do, and of course you need a little bit of fitness for that. But we're just working on kind of speed at the moment today. So one of the great ones to do, like I said, if you start out nice and slow and just really think about the sprints. Knee up, drive your knee down, and that's what you're doing. Just practice that first, and then you can start going a little bit faster, and a good march. Get the arms going, then you add in that little jump in the middle. Good jump, little spring up, and now we're getting power in, alright? So, they're important to warm up. And as I said, your stride length. So if you think when you lift your knee, and you lift your knee up, and your knee comes to that high, extend your leg out, and see where you go, alright? So go from behind, up, stick out, and now look at the ground you're covering. Now do exactly the same thing. This time bring your knee up as far as you can, put your leg out, and where do you fall? So you're already covering more ground. So that's why getting your knee up nice and high when you're sprinting is important. You can see the difference in the ground I covered there and just that small little example when we're not moving. Other things which is really good to do, just when you're warming up for the sprinting, is that when you're coming, take that nice long step and really work through, leg down and up. So basically what you want to do is, if you can't do your sprinting mechanics nice and slow under control like that, then as soon as you go to sprint, you're actually going to forget it, because you need it to be second nature. Because when you're running for a ball, you're thinking about getting the ball. What are you going to do next? You're not thinking about how you're running. So it has to become second nature to you. Next thing then is a really good one, is the kicks just from the hips, and that gets you going nicely. One I always like to throw in is your right knee, and then switch over on your left knee at a time. You also do your heel, your right heel, and then coming back and doing your left heel. And when you're warming up first, it's always important to use your arms, because you will use your arms when you're sprinting like that. Another good one then is your standing long jumps. That just creates nice power in you. And then a little jumping into a squat. So if you jump and jump up, so it's like straight leg jumps, a little jump in and jump up, because what you're trying to do is you're trying to get that kind of the spring off the ground to reduce your ground contact. So that's what you're looking for, that nice drive down and it bounces back up. So they're all important kind of things just to add in before you warm up. Won't overload you too much by saying a whole lot, because there's a few more. We might talk about them maybe in part 3 when we're going to do the longer runs. So when you think about them, they're all kind of just important things before you do the sprinting, alright? I probably have forgotten some of them, but I said we just name a couple just to get them in. Now, on the runs you're doing, I have 3 set out. So it will be your straight line max sprint. So you're looking at 20 to 25 meters and running it basically as fast as you can. And make sure you pass by your marker. Wherever your marker ends at the 20-meter line, make sure that you don't slow down until you pass by that. And slowing down is also important. You need kind of a good brakes, so you always can go into a squat finish. And when we're outside, because the next one I will video outside, it's just this week I didn't get a chance because I actually wanted to be doing these as the example, so hopefully we'll get that in the next video, but I wanted to get one out on Friday and I just didn't get time in the daylight to do it. And next one then is your return sprints. So it's basically whatever you want to call it, shuttles or whichever. Out 5 back in, out 10 back in, and out 20. So that becomes a little bit more like a game because you're practicing your de-acceleration and then your acceleration out of a turn, which is important, and get going again. And the last one then is one I like to do is the W sprints. So you can mark out a W in 5 or 10 meters. And you're sprinting out, and now you'll come around the cone, you're practicing your turning, you're chopping and changing, and you're changing direction, which is important as well, at speed. So like that, if you're running for a football, suddenly you have to turn, you want to make sure you have a nice sharp turn and that you can push out straight away again. A little bit of information there this evening on that. Like that, I've probably left out something. I had a few kind of different points in my head that I wanted to talk about. I didn't want to overload anybody either. It's just a few things to think about when you're going to do sprinting. Like I said, when we get the video and we're outside, we'll work through a little bit more of them. Don't forget to do the warm-up from the first video as well. That is part of it. It's just that when you're going to do some sprinting, add in a couple of them high knees and them kind of little jumps and things like that, and it will help you. Look up loads of information. There's videos on YouTube that kind of slows down sprint mechanics and really looks into it in really great detail. Look them up. Loads of different videos and avenues to go down to try and get information, so that's important. And like I said, it's not kind of a thing about fitness when you're sprinting. It's just about getting faster. And the faster you can run in training and practice that and keep pushing yourself, the faster you become. And that is kind of speed and sprint training. That's what you have to do. If you don't sprint fast, you're never going to become fast. Alright, so that's the end of the video for this evening. Hope you enjoyed it. If you can, make sure you like it. If you're able to do it, just subscribe to the channel. Get a few more subscribers, be great. Apart from that, I hope you found the information good. I kind of talked a little bit fast even because I don't like videos going on too long. I try to keep your attention. And I try to fit as much as I can in there just about the sprinting and stuff like that. So that's us done. Until the next video, train hard, be safe, look after each other, and we'll talk to you soon.